Hey guys, welcome back to CM Rick's Interviews. Please subscribe down below. And in today's video, I will be ranking the 11 Incredibles characters. Now, before we get into the video, there are spoilers because these Incredibles 2 came out like 2 years ago, but and Incredibles 1 came out 15 years ago. And so what do you have to do to get on this list? Well, you have to be in both movies. You have to be Incredibles and Incredibles 2. So we won't be including characters like Mirage or the new superheroes that were in Incredibles 2 or even the raccoon. It's not a top 10 list. It's the Incredibles characters ranked, and they have to be in both movies. And there's only 11 characters that have made it from the first to the second. And I'm really excited. I hope they make an Incredibles 3. Brad Bird he's still open to the idea. Again, please subscribe, and then let's get into it. So coming in at number 11 is Toni Ranger. Now this is basically just a character made for Violet, and it's obviously not a main character or a character that really got fleshed out. They made the character to flesh out Violet. So there's really no point to this character, and he's just not in it a lot. The first movie, he only appears at the very beginning and at the very end, and in the second movie, he's sprinkled out through the whole movie. He's just not my favorite character, and let's go to in 10th place is Rick Dicker, who was played in the first movie by Bud Lucky, who also voiced Eeyore, and in the second movie, he's voiced by Jonathan Banks, and Rick Dicker is a cool character, and I wish they'd really go deeper into his character because he's one of those characters that you don't know much. He's like a Boba Fett, but of the Incredibles, and there's not much to his character that I wish they could add on. And he doesn't really have a character arc. He's just there for the family and to help the family. In the first movie, he doesn't do much. In the second movie, he helps a lot, but he also wipes the mind of Toni. Anyway, Rick Dicker comes in 9th place is one of my favorite John Ratzenberger roles. It's the Underminer. He appeared very briefly in the first movie at the end, and he had a pretty big part in the beginning, in the first act of The Incredibles. And if they made Incredibles 3, maybe they bring him back because he escaped. The thing with the Underminer is he's basically just a villain. Now, I said I wasn't going to be including villains because that's a video for its own, but I am including. He's not really a main villain. He's more of a bad guy. Villains I don't know. I just don't think villains and bad guys are the same thing. Like Bon Voyage isn't really a villain. Well, he is, but he isn't. And the Underminer is just fun and funny. And he is actually pretty hard for the Incredibles to defeat. Him himself, it's not. But like Syndrome, it's the droids or it's the technology against them that is what's hard. So the Underminer comes in. Now from 8 on up, I really love the characters, and in 8th place is Violet Parr. Now I don't dislike this video or don't hate in the comments because I like Violet. I think she's a great character, and in the second Incredibles, they really fleshed her out. Like in the first Incredibles, you like Bob and Dash, in the second you like Helen and Violet. I just don't think they've done enough for her yet. She's kind of a whiny adolescent teenager in The Incredibles 2, and that's all she is. And in the first one, she's the whiny, scared teenager, and they still haven't given her that full arc of her finally becoming brave. They do a little bit in the first Incredibles, but they still haven't fleshed it out a lot where she could carry an action scene by herself. She did fight Void in Incredibles 2, and she does know how to work her powers pretty well, especially when she makes the force field come together. In 7th place is probably the most brief character out of all of them. It's Honey Best, who is Lucius or Frozone's wife. Now people are like, oh, that's her in the background for The Incredibles 2. It probably is. It looks like it looks like what the character sounds like, and it looks cool, and it looks like Frozone's wife, like she would with her costume or her superhero suit, and she's just hilarious. Now, she's not that much in The Incredibles 2, as she only has one line. She only has like 4 lines in the first Incredibles. Everybody loves this character. I hope we see her again in The Incredibles 3. Again, if they make an Incredibles 3. Up in 6th place, I'm going to get hate for this too, but it's Edna Mode. Now, when I was a little kid, I was freaked out by her because of her voice, and but Brad Bird does a good job of Edna, and there was also a short for Edna called Auntie Edna, which it's just basically a deleted scene. It's not as good as Jack Jack Attack, which they're both technically deleted scenes, but made as shorts. I think Edna is a good enough character, and she's pretty funny when it comes to her voice and her, like, slapping Helen, and, like, you know, she just does all that stuff, and her interactions with Jack Jack in The Incredibles 2 is priceless. Coming up in 5th place is Helen Parr. Now, this hurts for me to put it here, but I couldn't put her up higher just because the top 4 characters, I think, are way better than Helen. Now, Helen is an interesting character because in the first movie, she's basically just there to save Bob. And to stop Bob, she's basically an antagonist. She's stopping Bob from doing what he wants to do. But of course, she's the glue that holds the family together and keeps him on the right side of the law. But in The Incredibles 2, they really decided to go with her character. And I think if I was just basing this off the first movie, she'd definitely be lower, probably in Violet's number 8 spot. But they moved her up to 5, and I hope in Incredibles 3, if they make one, that she moves up. And in 4th place is Bob Parr. Now, I think Bob Parr is a funny character, and he really relates to the frustrated parents, especially in Incredibles 2 with the new math. That joke was clever, because, of course, now they changed math in all the schools, and they teach different ways to do it, which I don't know why. But his character is great in the first Incredibles, even better in the second one, where he has to accept that Helen is going to be the breadwinner, and she's going to go out there, and she's going to do the fighting instead of him. In 3rd place is a character that I thought Incredibles 2 sidelined, and that's Dash. Now, Dash is funny in everything he's in. He's funny in the first and in the second, but they sidelined him, so that stops him from being in 2nd or 1st place for me. They had to replace the voice actor because, of course, 14 years later, you can't have a little kid come deliver the voice. But I think Dash is a fun character, and in the first movie, you really get a character arc of he learns that he can't, just because he has speed doesn't mean he can beat all the other kids with it, and that he needs to learn how to settle down. And I think that's a great just story. Coming up at number second place is Jack Jack. Now, Jack Jack is one of those characters where you don't like him for his character arc or his story. You like him because he's funny, hilarious, awesome. The raccoon scene is one of my favorite Pixar scenes of all time. And he's just hilarious in The Incredibles 2. Now, Incredibles 1, a lot of people don't remember that Jack Jack was in there, except for the final scene that he got against Syndrome, which I thought was great. He actually defeated Syndrome, which I think was great, clever. And I think Jack Jack is just an amazing character. He has 2 shorts, and Incredibles 2 is basically his movie. So he's pretty... I think Incredibles 3, if they made one, I think you could sideline him again, like they did with Dash in Incredibles 2. And 1st place is Frozone. Now, I'm not going to talk that much about Frozone, as he's voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, and that's all you need to know. He's cool. He's got a great suit that looks super cool. He has cool powers, and that scene where he freezes the cops in the first movie, iconic. And in the second Incredibles movie, he is put up front. He is a main character. He's not sidelined like he was in the first movie. And I hope that they make a prequel series about Frozone, his wife, and Helen and Bob on Disney+. But they probably won't. But anyway, Frozone comes in number 1. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts? Share them down below. Do you agree with my list? Do you not? Rank your 11 characters, or even your just favorite or your least favorite. Thanks for watching.